All right. Oh, we got an attendee already. Susan Bornstein. All right. Okay, I'm going to bring you on in a second. Okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to make something happen. And I wanted to put the question out there with all these conspiracies and disclosure, all these things that woke us up and still stream, and what that may entail in terms of what really, in my opinion, in this, this episode, this show is not about forcing my opinion, but like what's greater than the soul uh, and the human. And what I mean by that is we got all this multidimensionality coming in, all this stuff's happening on our energetic levels at all levels, the human and the soul, and we're going through stuff in many cases physically and so on. And what's more important, to be out there in those streams, not that there's anything wrong with it because it's a reflection of us, but yeah, so I wanted to just kind of, is there any narrative? Is there any download channel that supersedes everything and makes everything okay? Or, I mean, this is all about me and you. That's the way I see it. So, anyway, all right, let me kill the music. Thank you, Ty Hudnall. And I'll bring in the first guest. If you want to come in on YouTube or Facebook or X, just click the link. It's in the heading. Here we go. Boom. Here we go. There you come. All right. Thank you for showing up again. What is happening?
Yeah, what is happening? I don't have a whole lot to say, but I am very fixated on the moment. So the best way to summarize anything that I see would be to quote my dad. And it's just, yeah, this is it. In 2020, when it was COVID, I asked my dad, who I wasn't really talking too much yet, what was going on. And he said a body was dying. It was civilization. It was shutting down one organ at a time. He said, what happens when the organs shut down? And he says, what happens to the human body? And I say, it embodies its soul. And he said, that's exactly what happens. It embodies its soul, turns around, and faces the stars. So I don't know, would that be today? I think that would be today. We are shutting down, turning around, facing the stars, and becoming an interstellar civilization, which is a totally shorthand description I got from my dad 60 years ago, more. It summarizes it and kind of how I feel about it, how to deal with that personally, and it was all whatever. But I don't have much to say other than that, and I'm paying a lot of attention. And that's all.
Well, I think that rundown, that answers my question. Because what could be more important than that? You know what I mean? Like I think my connection's unstable, but what I was saying is what could be more important than what you just described? And we would all describe it in our own way. Um, we certainly have shared the same similar journey over the last at least 12 years, 13 years. And I mean, all of us. And then something's hugely accelerated. And I think your explanation was really good. I think that's where the code is, what's going on. Kind of like no makeup. I didn't take a shower, but, all of us, I mean, just showing up just as we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a sense just in this moment of reverence for the moment. I don't know, because it's a hell of a ritual. Yeah.
Do you mean by ritual that you feel like we've done this before?
No, it's a passage. It's a huge, well, it's a galactic passage, but for us down here, earthly passage, it's like rituals are usually about passages, change from one season to another, or change from one civilization to another. It's a big passage.
Yeah. So what your dad said was basically that the soul comes into the human, and as it comes in, the organs break down, and we turn back to the stars.
And the soul comes into civilization, if civilization is some kind of entity. And I guess it's,
So
yeah.
in other words, the potential of the consciousness that we all share together, given all the distortion and all the great things and everything, is a possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than, yeah, it's all many
Yeah.
possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That resonates. If anybody wants to come on from YouTube or Facebook, look in the title and the Zoom link is there, I think. Let me double check YouTube. Uh, yes, it's in the title. Um, yeah, I mean, I was just thinking today. I mean, I don't know how the latter part of February was for you. I mean, there's been like this funky dissension and ascension happening simultaneously for a while, like, I would say 2, 3, 4 months, whatever. But something really accelerate for you, or did something really accelerate for you in the last few days of February?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Was it brutal?
Oh, I'm not sure. Possibly less brutal than leading up to it was tension and panic, anxiety, and so it seems a little less brutal. It seems a little like acceptance. Acceptance?
Yeah. Well, one thing about anything, well, I can't speak for everybody. I live with Morgan and, a small circle, whatever, and you pick up some media and whatever, and, um, but I don't know. It's like kind of like what your dad said. I don't know about the organs, if that's metaphoric, you know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
but the potential of, I don't know how you would say it, but like, um, taking the organs down to nothing, I guess, metaphorically, and then coming back up through the chakras, like the potential and the possibility and the undetermined part of it that we all hold in our presence that we seem to be getting to more and more. Um, I just wonder how many of them are there? How many of us is there?
And I just get the impression, I don't know, I'm just exploring these days, that civilization becomes, even if it stays formal, to some extent, it becomes a consciousness. It's civilization as consciousness, civilization as soul. Yeah, something like that. Form, we can still keep form, but it has, yeah, it's just a part of things. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just getting feeling for it a little bit. I'm not sure. The thing that makes me feel some acceptance in the last few days is the size of the collective. It was the complete collective doesn't even matter, even if you whatever, still political and worried about fascism. The collective, it's not maybe shock, but the collective response was like completely collective, like no human untouched. For some reason, I don't know, that's kind of how it feels, as opposed to how many or a few or millions or billions. It was everyone. And I don't know why, because
Yeah.
it's not what happened. It's just, that's how it feels. I don't, just a feeling.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can appreciate that. I really can. It's almost like the days of talking about who's not awake are over because everybody's feeling it in their own way. And as a soul embodying into a human body, um, everybody has the connection or ability or potential or whatever to find their own way and get there. And maybe we're all getting there. I don't know. But I do feel like that there's something to it could go this way or that way. Not that there's anything right or wrong about it, but just in terms of our potential in a physical density such as this.
Which way could it go?
Well, I mean, if we don't deal with our fears, and the body's speaking really loud now, so it's telling us things in a very from a very dense part of our consciousness, right? I mean, a physical density. And we've written, we've read in sacred texts and in these communities, etc., about as within, without. So what's out there playing is a reflection of our collective, we might say, okay? Or even if we took it personal, like what vibration, what frequency, what perspective, and therefore creative energy do I hold in terms of how I judge or don't judge what I'm looking at? You know what I mean? So I think we're in this space that is a lot of things are going away. A lot of things to talk about, conspiracies, disclosures go away because it's so centralized and localized. And it sounds crazy and fantastic and beyond fairy tale. It's mind blowing. It's beyond galactic and angelic. It's beyond everything. That's how I feel about it. That's why I was like, what do you do?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It gets just that surrender thing. My dad's thing is it's
That
destiny.
surrender thing.
It doesn't matter
But
what you do. It's destiny. My mom used to say something about I can make any life I want to. I can build my own life. And he says, yeah, you can create anything you want to within the limits of your destiny. Destiny is your trump card, and it's ultimately whoever you are, whatever your skill or lack of skill or awareness or lack of awareness will be fit into your destiny because destiny is bigger than us. It's not God necessarily. It's just it's flowing.
well,
It's
we
like a
created
huge
it.
galactic flow. You can't stop it. No, right?
Yeah, it's like somehow or another we're all these, these yeah, I see like lines of, out in the cosmos like this, just running our patterns and our really our and but I mean, I think people are coming more just knowing that it's coming into this physical reality. And so everything that we are coming into in terms of, let's just say, the non-physical, the non-human, you might say, is something we've already had. The human, we haven't. Unstable, unstable signal. Sorry. But I mean, the human, we haven't had this. We have not had this. The other stuff we have, it's part of us. That's what we're awakening to. So what do we do now?
Oh. I like meditation these days.
You just
It's really,
snort.
trance. Don't know what an action is anymore or what it might or might not achieve. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I guess everything is becoming dreaming. In some ways, the physical reality gets consumed by dreaming, which doesn't mean it goes away, because if there's 12 dimensions, the third is one of them. But I guess it simplifies. We try to stuff everything into 3 dimensions. So we took God and spirituality, I mean, just shove it into a physical plane. But all that stuff takes its rightful place. You still have a physical plane, but I think there must be simplified greatly. I don't know.
No, I get that. And it seems like that we are through flow, and I guess some force, depending on where we're at, with whatever the particular subject or resistance is. But coming to a well, it's weird. It's a paradox. So it's all these things that come in, and it's becoming more and more collective, and it will. It only makes sense. That's the direction it's been going for a long time. But it's at the same time requiring the other end of the spectrum by um, the congruence that being totally present in your human being, physicality, as I may be in my spirituality or my multidimensionality.
Hmm.
So it's a paradox. It's both. So on one hand, the human's like, white knuckling it. And on the other hand, the human's going, holy shit, how far do I go? The who am I question becomes something totally like on steroids.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I could be psychotic. I'm 72 almost, so I could have dementia, but I don't think so. I don't think they take me. I don't think I'm that lucky. But like time and then is it 2 hours ago? Is it 2 hours in the future? Like, it's all just one. Yeah. And I used to have those little experiences all the time, but now and everybody else is having them. So my miscalculations and your miscalculations we're just all flowing around. But we're still here, still doing stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose. But yeah, what you're saying is true too. I mean, it's hard, it's hard to describe um, what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of language, or it's a different experience. It's a different level of apprehension. I don't even know how to explain it. Different tools, it's different everything. Um, so it's to me becoming less and less and less of, let's just say, to be extreme, a mind fuck, and more and more and more of a like a coming out, um, slowly, um, comfortably, and it's almost like each day the fear lessens, all the programming lessons and lessons and lessons.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of people out there, particularly, 80-90% of these communities over the years, these women that have been holding this intel down, even if it was like a small light at the end of a tunnel. And I think we're getting closer and closer to the other side.
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I don't know if somebody else is going to come in here and talk about this. I put the Zoom link in the YouTube title and the Facebook title. You're welcome to come up here. We can talk about something else if you want to, but I feel like with the intensity of what I and my partner experienced in February, particularly the second half, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, light bodily, that something extraordinary happened. And we made a joke a while ago about, the burden or, going in or going deep, whatever it is, that every time we do that, we come out on the other side. I
Mm.
know I cut out again. Hey, why don't we take a moment? You want to take a moment?
Yeah, I think I have to go actually, but I just thought I'd say something because I thought I'd say something.
So you're going to leave me here all alone.
What are you going to do by yourself?
Anybody else coming in? The Zoom link's there. Whatever you want to talk about. What is more? What can supersede the experience of the soul in another in another form? All these conspiracies and disclosures, and I'm not throwing shade on them, but you know, Susan represents the real thing, and I think there's a lot of people out there, and I think the more people that are exposed to the reality of this collective uh, inconsistent downloading cycle or whatever you want to call it is real. But I want to keep you.
But I have this perspective, which is mostly my dad's, which is somewhat resonated with Franco's or certain people, even Linda Good McGillis, who have really strong, like I listen, detached, business-like counsel. I was there, we talked, this is what's going on. Galactic perspective. There's so many other perspectives to what's going on, including people who are walking next to Mary Magdalene down the street and stuff, which I totally kind of get, but not where I focus, I guess, right?
So what
There's
you're
many
saying is,
aspects to it.
I'm sorry, there's obviously a bad connection and a lag. So what you're saying is a couple of things. One, there's, I don't know, these are my words. I'm just trying to see where exactly what you're saying. Um, so there's like an integration or a threading of the conscious uh, uh, awareness that you have of things, right? In
Mhm.
some cases, the first, on a ship, whatever, with people that you know down here that you may not know very well, or whatever the case is, or you may not even think you'd talk to them, or whatever the case is. And then also you're running into it with people who are walking with aspects of themselves, like the Mary Magdalene thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess. Also, I guess it's a lot of multidimensional communication or interaction or merging or whatever the interdimensional does. Flow, merge. I sense like we've done like soul merging and stuff, and since a lot of merging, so that that's almost like so natural, like you just flow in and out of other consciousness, like you know, doesn't objectify. Nothing objectifies. Nothing is a thing. Everything just moves. Yeah. I don't know. They're just like glimpses.
Okay, we got another. I recognize that name for a long time. Denise Stropia.
Yeah, you do, huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you. Yes.
I'm just finishing feeding my dog here.
All right.
and I thought I would hop on. I just turned you on, and wow, remember me from a long time ago? Well, we're still in this together.
I did we meet in New Jersey?
You
Where
were,
did we meet?
I was on your show and you kind of interviewed me. I'm in
I
the
remember that,
medical
but I thought we
field.
met. I thought we. Yes, I remember that. You were a nurse, right?
No, I'm a doctor. I'm in
You were a
Las
doctor.
Vegas. Yeah, yeah, and
Okay, okay.
I'm I'm at the cusp of I'm definitely leaving medicine after 40 years. The time is now, and I've been
Wow.
slowly getting out of it, and now I'm ready to go, and I'm into quantum healing and doing all the holistic stuff. The vibration is right there. I'm ready to roll
Wow.
because
That's huge.
this is the energy, you know, all the
I think you're
work.
on.
We've been doing
Are you
all
on
this
mute?
inner work
Can you hear her,
and
Susan?
where
Let's see.
we
In and
see it.
out.
See if you can sit and have the phone closer to your face, because you're saying a lot of good stuff. We all like to hear it. Denise.
Okay, say that. I'm sorry. You know what? I think I had you on mute. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Couldn't hear you clearly.
Yeah, just put your yeah, sit down and phone. Yeah, put your phone closer, like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
like
sit there,
that's
because you're
better.
saying a
Yeah, I
lot of
was
good
just,
stuff. We want to hear it.
oh gosh. Yeah, where do I start? My gosh. I won't start 25 years ago, but
So what do you think about everything that's going on right here, right now, in this space and time, as you came on here?
hmm.
What would you like to share? What's your experience, or is there anything you'd
Okay.
like to say or talk about?
Well, it's just, I think everything that I have been working on, both internally, seeing what's going on externally, the energy, it's just all here now. And now is the time for us to rise up, the people that have been doing the work, the people that are the way showers, the light workers, the healers. The collective has just risen up and we are becoming one. And it's just phenomenal. And the timeline shift and the split, I never thought I would experience that, but boy, have I. Because I always imagined how it would be, but I am feeling it, that split of the awake and the unawake.
How have you experienced that? I'm just curious. Like, how is that happening? Like,
Well,
I
it
guess
just,
being in the medical, there's a little bit of like, hang on. Um, Being in the medical field, I mean, obviously, as a
yeah,
doctor, that would be very, very 3D. So you're probably more
yes,
entrenched in it than
right,
many of us, I would think.
yes.
Um,
Hmm.
as you've been getting to the point that you are now, where you're going to extract yourself, or convert or transform, or however, because I hear you're going into the quantum healing.
Hmm.
Um, how has that been for you? Are you seeing it more and more? Are you more and more, let's just say, identifying or aligning with that other part of you that's moving away from it? You know what I mean?
Correct, because my word for 2025 excuse me, alignment. And I have felt soon when this year kicked off, last year was a lot of transformation. So it was truly the year of the dragon. This year, it's alignment. And I feel so aligned. And I've been just working part-time in medicine, doing home health care, just because I am not going to hospitals anymore. I don't do surgery anymore. I don't do an office work anymore. I shut down my office. I just said enough is enough. You get to a point where you just cannot tolerate it anymore. You can't. So that's where I'm at. The point where it gets to that point where you see that split has become so well defined. People that are just unawake, don't know what's going on. They're still living in that muck of the 3D. And then you have people that are transforming, doing the work, and on upper levels of consciousness. So it's just amazing. It really is.
Are you seeing? But are you seeing, regardless of the number of people that, like, from your perspective, you can see them as not tapped in?
Hmm. Hmm.
Are you seeing more and more people tapping in?
Oh,
So in
absolutely.
essence, the number's getting bigger.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I feel it is. I mean, the people that are, and I feel this is what's helped raise raise the vibration of the planet, raise the vibration of of people, the way their consciousness is, because they're starting to, something's got to stir them. And boy, if they haven't gotten stirred in the last 5 years, then I guess you're really, your head is in the sand. But I think the stirring up and really the jarring of people has really caused people to awaken to their level.
Yeah, but what's interesting, I totally get what you're saying. Susan, chime in if you want. Um, what's interesting though, if you just look even at, I would say everyone that's listening, probably have similar news feeds.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, we're going to see, because of the algorithms of, all the of the system itself, there's going to be all the whatever. But you do see, I don't want to say light workers, or name anything like that, but I'm just saying you do see the polarity in
Hmm.
people, that you have the commonality of the experience that we have had
Hmm.
and the awareness that we have.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And so I've seen people on one side, be it whatever it may be, Trump is obviously a big one,
Hmm.
uh, saying that the people on the other side aren't awake.
Hmm.
And I guess what I'm saying is that, regardless of the significance of what's happening, and
Hmm.
whether you or I or anyone believes that as within without, and this is actually a reflection of us, there's more to be said for what's happening to me, myself, right now in this present moment in my life,
Hmm.
because this multidimensionality is coming in more streams every day, and it's physical and mental and emotional and et cetera and et cetera and et
Hmm.
cetera. And it's very humbling to me. Um, so it's interesting. It's really interesting. It's almost like if you took your human by itself as a standalone, applied all the deprogramming and transformation that you have consciously in your human
Hmm.
consciousness,
Hmm.
and said, do you feel that the earth can make this leap, or we can avoid bullshit or distortion or bombs or whatever, whatever the case is.
Hmm.
But to me, that's kind of how I see it. It's like, how do we feel about that potential? How do we feel about ourselves? Because it's really comes down to that.
Hmm.
The more I trust and love myself, the more I trust and love my brother and sister, and flower of life's from there.
Well, I think over the last few years, it's
That's just
become
my
so
opinion.
apparent that it's all with us. It's all within us. Once we start changing ourselves and doing the work of our authenticity, what we want, our purpose, our passion, that's where my zone is. Then I see everything else opening up as in a different light. And I have to compartmentalize people that, their level of consciousness is over here, ours is over here, and whatever happens, happens, but it's really our paths.
I tend to look at, for the
Yeah.
collective, I
Well, I don't
always
know about
look
it.
at,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Susan. Sorry. There's a lag.
I look
Go.
for the collective. Yeah, I just look at the collective. So I look at anyone. So I have
Mhm.
people who are getting sick, or I had some lady had this test, and she was talking about her test that people have had, and she said the level of pain that she experienced having this medical test was more than she had ever experienced in her whole life. And
Mhm.
the tiniest little thing people are experiencing on screaming levels of physical pain that
Mhm.
would never have been painful, particularly before. So it's just, I don't see that people who have my narrative or my level of whatever self introspection are less affected. If the whole collective changes, the whole collective changes. Uh, I don't think it's our narrative that changes. I was told the narratives all fall. There are
Mhm.
no narratives anymore. They're not necessary. You talk for decoration like you wear clothes for decoration. Yeah, that's just, I don't know, I haven't been there particularly, but I have. So on the council where I sit, I am told that my collective has a clearer and clearer voice that was actually not heard until like maybe a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
We weren't cohesive enough to transmit anything. So that we're actually like that thing, the psychological thing, our self-perception and the galactic perception don't match. They're hearing that we are clearer and stronger and cohesive, and we're seeing, and we're not. Yeah, anyway, something like that.
Okay.
Just a perspective.
Mm.
Wait,
Yeah.
that last part. That we have the clarity, etc. We are that, but we're not. Is that what you said? Because I like the whole thing until the very end.
Well, they're hearing a collective transmission, which is energy and light, and we're
Mhm.
seeing all sorts of forms and things, I guess. And they just say the energy and light is coming together and making a ripple amongst other life forms that they understand that they can be with that wasn't there before. And down here, we're very concerned with whatever, but we're already opening up and facing the stars, I guess. So they're seeing us differently than we're seeing ourselves.
Mm,
Mhm. Okay.
Why am I saying
excellent.
all this stuff? Why
Yeah.
not?
Denise, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Uh, as you've gone through this transition that you're going through from the, because it sounds like you've been doing it a while, so you're like went into home health and all that, but like from the beginning, like, in the institutional part of it, as it represents metaphorically the whole, whatever you want to call it, the system or whatever.
Right.
Um, as you were transitioning and extracting yourself from it, did you see any relation in programming and um, what was actually what you were a part of? You know what I mean? Does that make
Oh,
sense?
Well, I think my malalignment with medicine probably started about 15 years ago. So it's been a long time. It's just the fact that I had a business, I ran a practice, I, um, had to pay bills, I had to put my kids through school. I, I saw all the changes that were happening in medicine, and I didn't align with that. But at the time, I had to do what I had to do. And I always was of the thought that when I treated a patient, how I did it my way. In fact, knowing that it always came from the patient's best, my best interest to treat the patient the best I can. And then as I see what's gone on in medicine over the years and how all the deception and the lies and just it goes on and on, I had to deal with that in getting that clear in my head that I have to get over that because it was just too much, knowing that how people have suffered unnecessarily, and how things have been hidden from us. Um, and the list goes on and on. I don't have to go through everything. We already know it has infiltrated our food supply, the drug companies, et cetera, et cetera. So we're now going through this upheaval. And when I see that, I'm like, yes, it needs to be done. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess going back to like what was kind of the theme, you know what I mean? Not, yeah, we talk about whatever. But I mean, like you said, Susan, you said about the narratives. What's the difference between a narrative from, the Ryan Wars and one that's happening right now as this whole
Mm,
collective perception or, oh, what happened?
mm,
Plays out.
mhm,
What's the difference? So it's like, I get that. I'm just trying, I don't have the answer. I'm just trying to find this place that's always moving, right? That we're, the 0 point, like staying in it as it fluctuates and this and that. But like to try to understand it, um, it just this might not sound right, but it's like things are becoming simplified
mhm,
to the point where it's uh, I'm gonna say possibly it looks like a trajectory of things becoming so simplified. I'm talking living and exercise, just so many different things. And there's this this is more of a metaphor, but there's this energy that keeps coming and coming and coming, making that happen and becoming
mhm,
more obvious. But at the same time, the human's going, wait a minute, I need to do something.
mhm,
You know what I mean? All the
mhm,
causes are going away, all the functions are going away. And like I think Denise said really well, um, it's doing your passion, what you love, who you love. You know what I mean? And it's
mhm,
just now it's the how. There's no more why. It's just the how we do it. And that's where I think it's getting kind of weird because it requires this surrender, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense like never before and go do it. Like even doing the show tonight, I didn't feel like doing it, but my soul said, go do this. And I've really glad that I did. Oh, somebody else is here. Hang on. Sorry
mhm.
about that, whoever that is. Let's see here. Who we got? All right, Daniel. Let's see here. Boom, boom. There we go. Yeah, so I don't know, sisters.
I
Do
just
you
know that it's just come a long way. It's come to that point where we are now, and there's no going back. We're here, we're in it, we're bathing in it, and we have to,
bathing in it?
yes, we are.
The last 5 days of February, like riding the Whitewater Rapids in
Yeah,
the Grand Canyon at 50 miles an hour.
it is.
But even those,
Mm,
yeah. All right. The French smokers here. You want to turn on your mic? Turn on your mic, Daniel. There you go. What time is it over there? 2 o'clock in the morning? Oh, I can't hear you. Your mic's
Now you
yeah, yeah,
should. Yeah,
yeah. We
yeah.
can hear you.
251.
What's
Yeah, you got
time is it over there?
251.
2:51. See, that's
Yeah.
this is the crowd we have. We have British Columbia. Where are you at, Denise?
I'm in Las
Daniel, you're in
Vegas. I'm on Pacific time.
Sweden. Oh, that's right, Vegas. No. Daniel, where are you? Sweden?
No, Switzerland based.
Oh,
Switzerland, that's right. Yeah, I knew it started with an S. So Daniel, what's happening? Are you having any do you have anything you want to talk about in terms of like your personal experience, maybe with the backdrop of all this stuff going on and all the different streams out there that I don't want to ask a leading question, but you know, like that take our attention. It could be anything local, could be something on the world stage, but what's going on with you? What's your relationship with your body and your mind, your spirit, and all that stuff?
It was brutal, like you said. I had like before a couple of days, I laid flat, like the sinus and all. The body was recalibrating. Re That's what I felt it was, and I was just relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. The interesting part, right about this time, I got holidays, so it doesn't happen when I worked. It happened exactly when I had like 18 days like that I didn't work. So it matched perfectly. It was very interesting to me. I laid just flat for 2, 3 days, but it was very fast, faster than ever. My body recalibrated and I felt awesome. This was the interesting part to me. I felt awesome. Just my body was like, yeah, not to exaggerate, but was collapsed in a way. I felt the energies and that came through and it was a upgrade and really recalibrating. After that, like the sensory and the brain, my brain and all these things were like upgraded. It was very interesting to me. Like I was more here than ever, less in the mind than ever. I developed the way to look after my body, like salt baths and like just look to my body. And the other part in the world stage, like I noticed, I just meet one after another person who is quote unquote awake or awakening. It's very interesting to me. And the energies are changed very drastically. It was like the humans don't want anymore. They want just they have a how you say that? They just are over it. They want just love. It's interesting every time I go out. It's an intense energy, but lovely. Just some that I met that are in the old programming, how you say. But my for me, the life it changed also drastically. Especially after I meet a specific person that I consider my twin flame.
Now,
But
would you like to elaborate on that? I'm just messing
yes,
with you.
yes,
I'm
sure,
just
why
messing.
not?
I'm just messing with you. Hey, I wanted to ask. No, you brought up. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, like
My
the other
pleasures.
two. I mean, it's like the personal experience, right? And it made me think of a good question. I think I hadn't really considered it, but so each one of us maybe can speak to it. Um, is part of what's happening, or have we seen any evidence or whatever of our experiences with people and our observations, I guess you would say virtually, um, that personal ego, agenda, ulterior motives is dying in the human, dying in the, and seen in the individual interactions you might have with other people, whereas you observe people virtually and send messages and all that. Do you think that you're seeing evidence of the ego lose, or as the soul voice comes online?
Yes.
Susan, you want to go?
Huh.
Okay, go ahead, Daniel. You go first. Everybody have a chance.
Just to say, for me, yes. That's all.
Denise?
Um, I know you cut out a little bit, but you talked about how we can tell when someone is coming from the ego versus their true authenticity. Is that your question?
Well, what I was saying is, are you seeing evidence in your personal experience of the ego on a one-to-one basis fading into its proper place as the soul's voice comes online with people? I mean, in other words, less agenda. Are you seeing in your human interactions as you go through life, less agenda, less ulterior motives, less egoic, you know,
Okay.
BS or whatever you want to, however you want to say
Well,
it?
yeah, yes, I would have to say so. And I guess I would have to say, as I alluded to before, about the split. It's becoming so apparent now. There are people that, on a business standpoint, in the 3D, that I just don't want to deal with anymore. And because I see that, I see the way it's all ego driven, the agendas. And then when I am aligning with people that are coming from their heart, we want to do humanitarian work, we're ready to go out and do our thing, and we know that, you know, we have our needs met. Okay, big deal. We're good. I see so much of that difference now. It's really, apparent, more so than years ago being more led into, you have to do that, be ego driven, you got to make that money, you got to go here, you got to do this, you got to, just got to go, go, go. Now I see where, we're just kind of laying back, letting it flow, being in the present moment, and letting the energy work with us.
Thank you. Susan, you got any comments on this one?
Not a lot, but I guess I would say yes. Yeah, I mean, even if you'd like to be in that familiar ego place, everybody's just getting battered. Things happen. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I would say yes.
Thanks. Let's segue into question. That was question A. This one's B because it's making, because I haven't answered this first one. So let me just say what it made me think of was, because obviously I've interacted with lots of people doing, stuff online and so on over the years. And we've all had, um, continued experiences of imbalances and, just typical old human, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, one thing I'll say is what I've noticed in myself, in them, is there a difference over the last few months is I can see their transformation. So that takes me to the second question, which is it our ego that's fading? And have we seen evidence of that within ourselves? And I just got like this vision of, there's been a lot of talk over the years about there's going to come a time when many of us will be put to work for those who are awakening. And I was just kind of had this vision as I was listening to y'all, um, of the wisdom or the teaching being that, because we know when our ego gets brought down a notch or two, those are our, huge, biggest triggers. And now we see them with reverence. I mean, it's just finding them or how they come to you or whatever. But yeah, have you had those humbling experiences? I have, and I mean that. And that's a really deep conversation. But yeah, so have you, any of you experienced, we can start with Daniel, where you've really, I don't want to say taken a beating because blessings are burdens, burdens are blessings, but where you've had a painful, uncomfortable realization about yourself. And I'm talking about recently, like in addition to everything that's happening. Go ahead. Thanks.
Yes, a lot, a lot. To me, it was a constant thing till now. It was like you said, like a beating. It was like constant shit, and I was crying a lot through this phase. I was crying a lot, almost screaming aggressions or aggression, sadness. Uh, Movies and TV shows helped me with this that I watch, like the animes, for example. They talk about like the emotions and what they can do with a person, and it literally, I can say literally, purged this out of me, or purged it out. It was like at the moment it is calm. I can remember um it was really hard for me. The ego thing that you talked about was intense. I felt not just the ego that I had and all these things coming through, the triggers especially. I got a lot of triggers that came through, but it felt to me the collective, also the collective. At times, it felt like everything at once,
Mm.
and the overwhelmness was intense to me. I laid here, intense emotions, intense things that I just told myself, go with the flow, let it quote unquote go, but let it go through, and just talked uh, with me like that, like let it go through, let it go through, let it go through. It was intense, I can say, to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Susan, you want to go on that one?
Yeah, yes, I totally identify with that. Yeah, yes, what he said.
Yes. Mm.
I think you're both saying, you can just nod. I'm pretty certain. What Daniel just thoroughly described and Susan dittoed is pretty recent. Like, I'm going to say in the Daniel, was it in the last? I mean, I know everything is a constant thing, but I mean, was it Susan and Daniel? Was it like in the last couple of weeks when you went
Yes.
through what
Yeah,
Daniel described?
yeah, yes.
So not
I think
long
my
ago.
signal's bad again. Denise, you want
Yeah,
to give
yeah.
that a shot?
Well, I would have to say probably within the last month or so, a lot of old trauma was coming up, especially from my childhood. So triggers, um, it was triggering me into a lot of anxiety, into a lot of self-doubt, lack of self-worth, lack of respect. All that was just starting to come up. And I knew it needed to be dealt with and transmuted, and that's how I will, get through that. And also journaling, doing all the self-care tools that were needed to diffuse that and come to terms with that. So it was a lot of triggering. And also I felt more with the collective as well. It seemed like it wasn't just that was one part of it. But then again, I'm sure there's other children that went through what I did too. So it was nothing new. But there you go. So I would say yes. And the energies was such to cause a lot of that to come up, the way the solar flashes and the coronal holes and just all that was just bringing a lot of that up for us.
You know what? Uh, Me, this hour and 10 minutes, that what y'all just said to me is worth it for me. I know I'm unstable. Um, it's real awareness and awakening energy, whatever in that. And I believe many of us it's happening to. And I feel like that now I might understand why my soul said put this post up and do this, is because this is not being talked about. And we have talked about this over the years. All of us have. We've
Mhm.
shared this with each other, and we've done that. And now is not the time. Here I go on my. This is my own opinion. Now is not the time to forget how we navigated, why we navigated, who we are, what we know in ourselves, and the commonality we have it with each other. Because it looks like it's all going to be okay now, whatever in the projection. Um, so last question. Thank you for letting me speak. Um, we can start with. We'll go backwards this time. We'll go with Denise. Um, it's a double question. After all this and coming to this point in time right now, because all this information and intel and coding is moving so quickly and we're getting it, we don't have to explain it. You talked about this a little bit. Um, so the first question might be easy for you because you've already said it, which is what is your dream now in this physical incarnation from this point forward with what you have right now? And on and for all of us, and I'll answer it too, on a scale of 1 to 100, what percentage of knowing or trust, or I don't know what the word is, that it will happen in the physical incarnation that we share with each other? That what's the percentage? Like 90%, 95, 100? So what are your dreams? What is your dream or dreams? And what percentage of faith, I
Mhm.
guess, do you
Yeah.
have in it? In an honest answer with the human aspect on board. Thank you.
Well, my dream is to have my healing center and also have other, all the other modalities there, be with quantum healing, helping people, educating people on lifestyle, nutrition, etc. Very much into, getting the physicality healthy and also the spirit, and then the spiritual growth comes in. So that is my dream, for people, for health empowerment, to regain and maintain their health, take back their power. And I foresee that happening. At this point, it's going to happen 100%. This is the time for me right now, and it's happening. It's happening.
Thank you. Susan?
Well, Concretely, I don't know. I think my dream is to be dreaming, to become dreaming. I don't know what that means quite. Constant creation. I don't know. Every day is hinting stuff to me that, yeah, that I know on some level. I was even taught. I'm beginning to remember learning process art with my process art teacher, who I swear I knew on that ship before he was my teacher. But which is about the creative process, but that's like the creation of everything, not the creation of artwork. Um, and so I think I keep remembering things he said and going, oh, that works in being a flesh body as well as it works in making a piece of art. But to trust those things and stuff, I don't know, but they're hinting at me. So I guess my dream is to be dreaming. I think. I'm not sure. To be vague. We were always taught when we were
To be
learning art, focus on the
multidimensional.
process.
Thank you.
Product will come of itself. So I'm going to focus on the process.
Thank you. Daniel?
Yeah, to get through the brothers or sisters also with the podcast that I started, thanks to the things that I experienced here, and the inspiration came also from here, a nudge, so that I started podcasts about sexual healing and self psychology and the dream state. But to me, it is especially to get through to the brothers with yeah, sexual distortions, or that have this programming uh, still go through. But I think, and I feel too, that it already does. But sometimes it is that when you don't see it, then you don't believe that it. Sometimes you don't believe that it gets through, but it happens also in the background, oftentimes, and a lot happens in the background, or it gets through, but you don't know it. You just feel it in a kind of way. Um, the dream, still, it is to me that we live in a harmony, in love and peace, love and harmony. This is not, to me, it is not just this saying that a quote unquote hippie says, but that this, what I'm feeling, it is really um, going to be. But the sister Denise, I just felt these words, and yeah, I nodded to them, to that. It will happen. It's just a linear mind that have a hard time to get it. What was the second question?
What um, what percentage does your human believe that it will be achieved?
100%.
Boom. Well, um, thank you for coming in, the three of you, and thank you for anyone that's been here listening or will be listening. If you allow me to just share a moment with you, uh, just take a breath and just take a moment to acknowledge ourselves and each other, and I mean all of our brothers and sisters. Daniel's answer was perfect. You know, it wasn't about I, it was about we, and not that the others weren't. You know, but this is really the reality. There's no disconnection between us, any of us. It's a, life review in form, and the potential is off the charts. So yeah, just take a moment to, express our gratitude and align our pure intention with the highest aspect of unconditional love that we can consciously align with, and our free will with universal will. And yeah, blessings of grace. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for allowing yourself to be seen. And I'll see you guys when I see you again. I'm sure I will.
What's
Thank
your
you.
dream?
Hmm?
What's your dream?
I'm living it.
All right.
And this is the crazy thing is, God, we were her and I were talking about it last night, but I can't remember the specifics. But and maybe it was the thoughts I had in my head as I was listening to her channel. But it was like, yeah, to physically be going through everything that we go through as individuals and be with somebody else in the physical, cohabitating and is an extraordinary thing to me. So yeah, I'm doing it, and I don't mean that like, oh, I'm doing it, and you guys. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, I understand the answers that you gave because I'm living it. My beloved's living it, and I know many, many people are, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I
Um,
get that
yeah,
we all live in it. It's an excellent answer to me. I get the feeling that we all
yeah,
are living it. This
yeah.
is
It's something
I
about the conscious human. Oh, I'm sorry.
all good. You don't have to apologize.
I don't have the best signal here.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, yeah,
But if I must say, we all must come to that realization that we can all live it. We all have that potential. But that's a story. That's a segment for another day. But
yeah, yeah. The relationship between seeing the same thing. Well, what I was saying is before the cut out was to be um, humanly conscious. You know, with all physicality, to have a conversation or hear coding from your brothers and sisters or whatever. There's something to that. So, I just honored to be here, and